Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome to the Bad League Bad Pod podcast. I am Zach Fuller, driver of the number 10 Bucky's Nesquik Throwback Monte Carlo winner this week, and I'm here with Ben Dunn. What's up, Ben?
What's up, man? Not a whole lot. Just enjoying a lovely little morning down here in South Carolina, and things are good, man. I think things are real good. Had some Judd car last night. We had some good racing on Tuesday. Had some good racing to watch over the weekend. So we got some things to chat about.
Absolutely. I don't know about y'all, but the weather here the past couple of weeks has been just immaculate. I don't know what's going on.
Same.
We had some shitty weather there for a while, but it's been good here recently.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. We've kind of eased up on the humidity, so it's just really enjoyable time of year. Mid 70s, no humidity, nice little ocean breeze. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah. Well, the weather in Iowa was pretty good on
glorious.
Tuesday as well. It was great for me. Ended up getting the win. Did not have winning speed. I think I probably had about third or fourth place speed, but as these races kind of go, sometimes there's a strategy call about halfway through the race, and you're either on the right side of it or not. I probably don't have enough fingers and toes to count the amount of times that I have been on the wrong side, but Tuesday I was on the right side. We pitted for fuel, made it to the end, and ended up being in front of those guys that also were on that strategy. Basically, I mean, Jack was the class of the field. Like, he was. It almost seems like he's cheating. I know he's not, but he is so good at these types of tracks. Like, I just don't understand how to get that much speed out of the car.
I don't either.
I mean, like, there was a point in the race where I was like, Jack is going to lead every lap of this race, unless we do something different. So
He just about did.
yeah,
105 or the 150.
yeah, I think it was a caution with about, what was it, like, there was one with like 90 to go, and then there was one about 10 laps later. And that puts you right on the edge of the fuel window. And Jack stayed out, thinking there were going to be a myriad of more yellows, and those yellows never came. So myself, Judd, and Dylan pitted with the 80 to go caution, trying to make it to the end. We didn't take tires, which, thinking back,
That would have helped.
I would have wanted to take tires, thinking back on it, because when you're pitting there, you're basically saying, I don't think there's going to be another yellow, right? So why would you not put tires
So you might
on?
as well take the. I mean, you probably finished the race with what, 2 laying? 2 sets?
Yes, yeah. So and I got the right front tire warning towards the end of the race, so I knew they were wearing down a little bit, but I guess not taking tires is kind of saying, like, well, just in case there's some more yellows, but also
Yeah, I
80 to
think that's what it
go.
was.
80 to go. You don't need 2 extra
You don't need
sets of
3 sets of
tires.
tires.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, that was maybe something that could have changed. But no, I guess we ended with 3 lane, because we only took tires after that first kind of long run. And then, yeah, we must have finished with 3 lane. I think we did.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so it probably would have been a better choice to take tires there, even though they were only 10 laps on the other ones. But then again, if I take tires there, I come out behind Dylan. And even with the 10 lap pressure tires, I don't know if that makes that much of a difference. So you can always
I think it
dissect
might
these
have.
things.
You know,
Maybe.
it's. I think tires were definitely somewhat, even though they seemed like they didn't wear a whole lot. I think they definitely had some effect because, like, I had some instances in practice where I came out, 8 or 9 laps into someone else's run, and I ran them down fairly quickly. So, as
Yeah.
much as it seemed like they weren't wearing a whole lot, I think it definitely did have some effect. But I mean, hey, I'm kind of on both sides there, where you don't take a set because you think you're going to need them later, and you just kind of take the fuel and hope for the result that we got. And then also at the same time, I can understand, take a set. Look, you got them laying, take them. You don't want to finish the race with that many laying, and
Yeah.
so kind of I see both sides of the coin there.
Yeah. Well, the not taking tires ended up working. Because the other two on that strategy also didn't take tires. Judd shot out of a cannon at the beginning of that run and passed both me and Dylan. So we had to run him down towards the end, and just talking to him about the race after, he just kind of was saying he was overdriving the hell out of it, trying to stay in front. You know, Judd's been kind of on a winning drought here.
Hmm.
He could see the victory; it was in his hands. So I don't know if that kind of just got to his head or what, but he was saying he was overdriving it a good amount. I thought he was doing a pretty good job trying to hold me off. He was noticing the line I was running in one and two. The only other person I really saw running this line was Donnelly, where you arc really high on the entry to one and then cut down, get a super late apex off of two, and you can get a really good run down the backstretch. So Judd started to kind of do that in front of me to take my line away, and it was working for a while. But there was one instance where he kind of just lost the rear and kind of opened up a space for me on the outside of three and four, and then I like crossed him over on the exit of four and got to the inside of one and two, and that was pretty much all she wrote. That was with about 25 laps to go, I think. And then I had 25 laps to hold off Dylan, and that is my like. I was thinking about this during that race. That is the most uncomfortable position you can be in sim racing. Is in an oval race,
Absolutely.
you're leading the race, somebody really fast is right behind you, and you just want it to go green, but you cannot make any mistakes because the guy's right behind you, and you don't want a caution to come out. There's just a million things going through your head, and
Yeah, and you can't wear out your equipment either because
right,
like up front, like the big like problems that like I don't really lead a whole lot, but when I do, it's like it's easy for me to pace someone, when I'm right behind them. But when
right,
you're out front and you're in charge of that pace, you now got to start thinking like, okay, what do I need to run to maintain my stuff and not kill my stuff? Because the guy behind you could just sit there and wait for you to just wear your stuff out and then
yeah,
just go right by, right? So like that's the other stressful part too. Is just like, all right, how like what kind of laps do I need to run to not only keep this guy behind me, but not ruin my shit and make sure that it lasts. And then all the while you guys are doing that, you and Dylan are both thinking about all that. Then you got Jack, who's on fresh tires, who did his stop, who was hauling ass trying to get back
yeah.
to you guys, right? So like, all those
It's
things kind
all
of
of it.
factored in. I couldn't even imagine. But yeah, like you said, just being up front like that in races, it's tough to kind of manage and maintain yourself to a point where you're not using your stuff, but you're still able to hold the guy off behind you and hold your position and defend as much as you want to.
Yeah, it's super uncomfortable, and especially when it's somebody like Dylan. Like he's really good at saving tires, and
Right.
um, especially early in the run, he was doing a much better job of saving tires than I was when we were chasing down Judd. But I'm kind of discovering with my skill set in sim racing is in these races where you can kind of aero block. If I can get out front, I'm actually not too bad at like playing the aero games and staying out front. So and that's kind of what this turned into with the way that New Iowa was and the way the tires were. It kind of turned into like track position, and if you can get out in front of somebody, you can kind of hold them off, especially um, if you're not like in my situation. I'm rarely faster than like Dylan, honestly. But if I can get
Hmm.
out in front, I can sort of arrow block and kind of fake it till I make it. So um, it was a good race. Glad to get the win. Made the right strategy call. Wish we could have like more pace, but sometimes, you gotta win some races that you're not supposed to win. I think that was one for me on Tuesday.
Absolutely. It's cool to see like a strategy call kind of dictate that too, because it's been a while since we've seen something like that where strategy kind of overtakes speed in this league. Usually we have some differing strategies in our races, but those all kind of get canceled out towards the end, and
Yeah,
the cream still rises. And at this one, you guys made the right call, and Jack was unable to crawl his way back up to you guys. Wound up finishing 9 seconds behind you, 5 seconds behind Judd. So you guys really made a good strategy call there. Just as a whole, your trio finished 5 seconds ahead of Jack. That's
yeah,
pretty awesome for as much time as he had to try and run you guys down too. Clear track, no cautions. Guys were getting out of the way. I don't think anybody was really racing him. I know that I didn't. Whenever he got to me, and so
yeah,
um, you know, pretty cool to see strategy play a hand in that, as it doesn't do so often. Really really cool to watch that unfold there.
yeah. I mean, the most recent races I can think of where that actually like happened was Charlotte last year, where I won on this same strategy call, and Darlington as well last season.
Yeah.
Same strategy call. People stay out. I pitted, and that was it. Um,
Yep. And
I don't know if I'm just
you get
remembering it because I
the luck
won.
of no green,
Yeah,
no
exactly.
cautions, and it just plays out in your favor. So
Yeah. That was another thing. One more thing before we move on to your race. When Dylan, Judd, and I were it was probably about 30 or 40 laps into that run when once people started to pit. When those guys were coming up through our battle, we were like on top of each other, and
hmm
it was probably about 20 to 25 laps of faster guys coming through, and that was some of the most intense racing I've done in a while. Like I'm trying to stay in front of Dylan, and trying to pass Judd, but then you got these guys who are coming through on much fresher tires. But the way the tire was, like they weren't just driving straight by us. Like they probably had to work a lap and a half, 2 laps to get by each of us. Um, so it was just so intense.
it
Like
also didn't help that like the lower lane there. I think like the bottom lane at Iowa is less flat than just a lane up. So like
right,
those guys that are, or I'm sorry, more flat, less banking, more flat. Those guys that are trying to do so, even though they have newer stuff, they're trying to do it on probably a lower part of the track where you have a little bit less grip because there's not as much banking, or they're trying to go high where we saw how with the track the way it was set up, that passing on the high side was not easy either. So
yeah,
you got people in a tough spot that are trying to get by you. Obviously, the new tire guys are trying to just get by you and get the hell out of the way, but seem to be a little more complicated than that. So, um,
yeah.
hey, we kept it clean.
It reminded me of like a multi-class race, like where we were the slower class, and here comes the faster class. Because usually, like you're battling for the lead, and you're dealing with lap traffic that's slower, and that's its own challenge. But that's a little bit more natural, right? Like you're coming up on guys who are slower, so you're kind of dictating where you want to go in relation to them.
Mhm.
But in this case, the faster guys were coming up from behind us, and it was just I feel like you don't see that on ovals too much. Um, but the strategy just worked out that way, and the way this racetrack was, um, it worked out. But let's talk about your race. I'm not actually too sure what happened with yours in general.
It was kind of all over the place. Slightly disappointing. I started the race off well. I didn't qualify well. I tagged the wall on lap one, and like slammed on the brakes before I got to the line so that I could have a clean, because I hit it hard enough coming out of four where it was going to mess up my second lap. So I
There you go.
slammed on the brakes and stopped before the line. Got back to the pits,
Hell yeah.
got back in, and did all this work to try and warm the tires back up for my one lap, and then I looped it coming out of four. Um, so it didn't qualify well. Started in the back, and Dylan was back there with me, and we both started our first run out, and I felt really good. I kind of was just pacing off of Dylan, and following him up through.
Smart.
I felt like I was kind of keeping tabs right with him. I didn't think I had much of a shot to win the race, so my one focus for the race was the 8 car, just for the bracket challenge,
Ah,
to
yes.
have some sort of a feel good from it. So like I was pacing with him, I was doing well. Towards the end of the run, I think I got in a little bit more battles trying to pass. I had a little more trouble passing people than he did. So I think I wore my stuff out and I saw him pull away a little bit, but I was able to kind of say to myself, like, all right, look, I got the pace to hang. I felt really good. I felt like I had a really good line. I never really ran the bottom. I was kind of wide on entry, and there was a seam about a lane up that I was running, and I was able to get in there, light on the brakes, get the car to rotate and get off the corner really well. So like I felt really good. I felt like when I made my first pit stop, my tires, even though I thought they were bad, they looked pretty good. So like I felt good. And then going on again throughout the run on one of the restarts, it was the incident with Cody and Jared. Those two get together. I'm in the high lane trying to make some moves, which is where Jared was when he got tagged. And unfortunately, at the beginning of the restart, I was trying to save my tires, and I let those two go. I had kind of been racing those guys prior to the caution, and I just kind of said to myself, let them go race each other. Let me save my stuff and see if I can't get back to them eventually. And then, like I said, they get together. Jared spins, and I slowed down the car as much as I could, and there was only so much I could do. I tagged him in the rear, and it gave me a good bit of damage, but I really didn't hit him that hard that I thought.
Mhm.
It was like crazy amount of damage. Like I mean, I just kind of tapped him, um, or at least I thought tapped him. So then, we go in and I pull in and I got like 4 minutes of optional, which was just absurd for the amount of contact that I made with him. The fact that I had that much damage, and at that point, because I was assuming the optional would be not 4 minutes and maybe like a minute or so, I didn't take fast repair.
Right.
Came back out on the track because I waited so long for optionals. I didn't have time to repit again and take that fast repair. That was actually the same pit stop that you guys came in and took your
Mm.
fuel, which is what the frustrating and disappointing part for me is that if I just took my fast repair, all of a sudden I'm on that strategy with you guys.
Yeah.
So like that's a little frustrating because we took the green and within a lap of that green, I'm out there driving with my damage, and within a lap of that green, my guy comes on the radio and says, "If we fuel up now, we're good till the end," which means I probably could have saved about that lap or
Yeah.
so, and made it with you guys, which is frustrating because then maybe Jack probably catches me just because I don't have the speed, but I'm looking at possibly a top five or maybe even sixth or seventh, which is about where I was running before that incident happened. So that was kind of the frustrating part was that like I knew I had speed to be in that fifth to seventh range. I think had I not gotten involved in that
I think
incident
if you take the
and
fast
kept the
repair,
car clean.
you're probably at least fourth.
Yeah, and then I take the fast repair and I'm with you
Yeah.
guys, right? So like that's a little frustrating there with that. I eventually it starts off and the car didn't feel too bad with the damage, but then eventually, I guess with whatever way the wheel was turned or something was happening, I was just eating tires. So I decided to pit. I got 4 tires, fuel, and a fast repair. And I think I pit like the second the fuel window opened, which was like I said about a lap after caution. So like 5 or 6 laps into the run, I pit, and then ran it all the way to the end.
Mm.
I will say I did pick up some spots. I managed to finish 10th, and I was about 12th when when I got involved in that incident and came out of the pits. So um, like I still did make up 2 spots, and I was sitting in a good spot ahead of Donnelly and ahead of Cody. But those two ran me down. Second week in a row that Cody has had a huge gap to me and better tires, and has managed to get to me right before the race ends and pass me. He did it at Darlington last week, and he did it again at Iowa this week. So good on him on that. Um, Donnelly passed me, but Donnelly started a lot closer to me and had much fresher tires, so there was no sense in me putting up a fight against him. My focus was to just kind of keep Cody behind me, and I did everything I could, but he got to me just as my stuff started to just kind of fall off a cliff, and I
Mhm.
couldn't hold him off, and it was pointless for me to be defensive and blocking, and when with older tires, like I'm just asking to cause an accident, so
Yeah.
I put up a minimal fight, but I figured that it was going to be a lost cause anyway, so I just kind of submitted to that and knew that I was far enough ahead of Devin that I would have been able to hold him off at least. So that was kind of the main focus there. Still got a top 10 out of it. Not ideal. I think I could have done a lot better, but hey, we'll take it. It could have been a lot worse as well. So
Yeah. You talk about the earlier. You're saying you're pretty much going off the 8 car early. We had the bracket challenge, obviously.
yeah,
Um, all 4 of the people who advanced in the bracket challenge finished in the top 5. So I don't know if that's just how the race went, or if people actually stepped up and tried to get the job done when they needed. But the Jack Christian matchup, I know Christian had some damage, a little bit early on with we were lapping BC, and I don't really know what happened with that. I was right behind it, but I think Christian and BC just both kind of misjudged where each other were, and after that, it kind of changed Christian's car, and he wasn't able to do anything. And I'm guessing he didn't take the fast repair there because he was pretty convinced that that was kind of the difference in his race was that damage. So probably like yourself, he just thought it wasn't that much damage, so he just got it fixed and didn't get all of it fixed, and then he wasn't really able to claw back from that. And I'm thinking he also did not pit under that caution, like those guys, because he was kind of on the same. Just looking at the delta to the leader, he's kind of in that same bracket. Um, so that's unfortunate for Christian. 100th start, home race. It was a good story to see if he could maybe beat Jack, but not. It wasn't in the cards on Tuesday.
yeah. But then you look at the other side there. The battle with Dylan and myself, like I said early on, I really thought I had a chance to at least hang with him and try to compete with him. I felt like if there was anywhere that I could with Dylan, I like to think that I'm not bad at the short track. So I thought I had a
Yeah.
pretty good chance there. Unfortunately, the accident really kind of unfolded the rest of my race. So Dylan moves on there, and then we look at the bottom half of the right side of the bracket, and Brandon goes on to beat Owen. A great drive by Combs there to do
By
so.
less than two
Uh,
seconds. That's the
yeah,
closest
so
one.
I'm guessing those guys were close, and it seemed like they had to be racing for most of the race, if not at the end there, where Owen's doing everything he can to get to him. Just looks like he kind of ran out of time there, um, but yeah, like just it wasn't chalk. We got one. Brandon's our underdog that made it through here, so
Yeah.
um, he's our sixth seed going up against number 2 for Dylan. I did go ahead and sneak some um, information to ChatGPT. I can provide some stuff for the matchups
Okay.
uh, for sure. So we're looking at the Dylan versus the Comb. 2 versus number 6. So Dylan is a higher seed, has been very consistent all season. Brandon proved he can win in head-to-head history, but Dylan's pace and race control make him the favorite here. Expect Dylan to try to control race pace and avoid late race uh, cautions and things that can interfere with his race. Brandon will look for attrition and late restarts to pounce. So the assumed wins with the probabilities used. It looks like Dylan's got a 62% chance to win according to ChatGPT.
Okay.
Got Dylan at a minus 165. Combs at a one plus 165. I would put a lot of money on Combs there at plus
Yeah.
165.
It's not bad.
Um, for sure. There, I think that's going to be a good matchup there. Those guys are pretty similar on their speed and their ability to save and whatnot.
Yeah.
Come Brandon likes to claim that he's bad at mile and a
Yeah.
halfs, but he's not. So this
I
should
was
be a
gonna
good
say
matchup
that the
for these guys.
Chicagoland kind of does seem like a Brandon Combs track.
Yeah,
Um,
it seems like a
despite
track
what
for
he.
both of them. To be honest, I think it's going to be great.
Yeah.
So
Agreed.
yeah, I look forward to that one. And then we look at the other side of the bracket. So you have yourself versus Jack. Jack's the 1 seed. You were the 4 seed. Um, what we got here for a quick little breakdown of this one. Jack is the number 1 seed and has steamrolled earlier matchups. Zach is a solid top 5 seed and can hang around in big races, but hasn't had Jack's domination. Looks to be the heavier favorite of the semis. Jack will be expected to control the race and avoid risky moves. I'd say that's pretty accurate. I think that's probably what Jack's going to go out and do. It's kind of what he does on the mile and a half.
Yeah.
Is goes out and he's always got a good pace and kind of controls the race from the front. So They do like him to win that, but as we saw this week, you can make things happen when you need to. You've done that plenty of times in the past, so you never know what could happen there. They have, let's see, they have Jack at a minus 300, yourself at a plus 300. I would put a
Whoa.
good bit of money on you there as well. So, um, one of the cool props, the Dylan and Combs props were terrible, but the cool one
That
here is Zach to win via a last lap pass plus 450. Be
I hope it does
kind
not
of a
turn
cool
bad with
way
that.
to end that though. Could you imagine?
Yeah, Kansas as well. Or where are we going?
You guys can
Chicagoland?
be racing for yeah. You can pass him for second place behind me,
Yeah.
go up there and make that happen. Um,
I will say,
but yeah,
we've had 2.5 miles this season, and it looks like I finished ahead of Jack in both of them. Um, that's not
I
normal, I think, but it's what's gone on this season, so that's one thing going for me in my favor, I'll say.
I will also say there's one parlay on here that I love, the underdog bounce they call it, which is Combs and Zat and Fuller to advance at plus 1800. I like that one.
That's a
That's
great line.
yeah, that's pretty good. So yeah, I look forward to it. I think Chicagoland's cool. I love that this bracket format we got like a little bit of everything. We had Darlington, track management and very challenging surface and just track in general. We've had Iowa shorter track that wound up being a four caution race, a lot
Yeah,
of long runs there. And then now we head to Chicagoland where it's traditional mile and a half, old surface. It'll be interesting to see how this car races on a mile and a half now because they've made some
yeah,
changes to it. Some things, we kind of went through some weird stuff at Darlington and some different stuff. I know that there's some people that kind of echo what I say when it's like the car just kind of it feels different than it did. So
hmm
it'll be interesting to see at Chicagoland. I'm happy to get back there and get some speed back in the cars and get to be flying around that place because I think we're going to be moving around Chicagoland.
yeah. I think so too. I mean, there's a bunch of different lines. I'm interested to see if it's kind of like how Kansas was. Is this a night race or is this a
No, I
day
believe it's a
race?
daytime race.
Okay, so maybe a little bit more temperature in the track. I know Chicago's probably not the hottest place in the world this time of year, but um, maybe a little bit more than Kansas. But Kansas was very weird because it was basically like who could go slow the most, and um, that was how you succeeded. I mean, late in that race, like I was the last one to pit, and that was basically the winning move of the race. So yeah, because we had that long green run to the end, and then we had the caution with like 10 to go, and then that was a bit crazy. But um, had it gone green, the winning move was the last guy to pit pretty much got the track position, and then arrow blocked to the win. So I'm interested to see how similar this is going to be. One thing I was thinking about, like for next season when we do the bracket challenge, in real life, people hated that it started out at Atlanta because
Yeah,
it kind of took out all the heavy hitters. But I think for us that might be
it'd
like
be awesome,
awesome,
wouldn't it?
you know,
Yeah, yeah,
because
I like that as well.
it would take out kind of the heavy hitters. Like we've got four the four guys left are top five in the points. Um, so I mean we're pretty much we. I don't think this really changes how we're gonna race.
Yeah,
But maybe if we all get taken out at Atlanta, that might be a little bit more compelling for everybody else to watch. I don't know, but
and gives an opportunity for like maybe some of the lower seeds have a chance to kind of move on there, kind of like we saw in real life.
yeah,
Right now we're looking at 1, 2, 4, and 6 of our remaining seeds in the final
right,
four, so it's not fully chalk, but it's pretty close.
yeah,
So I kind of like that idea. It's going to get taken into consideration when looking at schedule
yeah.
for next year for sure.
And I mean,
Um,
obviously, whatever car we use, that'll play a part as well. But um,
yeah,
I think this is we're halfway through the bracket challenge, and it has been fun to follow
I
um,
agree.
so far. I mean, we've had a couple upsets, and yeah, I mean, getting down to the final four here, so we'll see how it
Yeah.
goes at
So
Chicagoland.
Yeah, let's go real quick before we head on to Chicagoland and talk about some points. I'm going to recap real quickly. We managed to forget our Combs polls last week, so
Yes,
we can't do
right.
it again this
I
week.
I almost did again here.
It's okay. Last week I think I won like idiot of the week at 100%. So, yeah, no, I won idiot of the week. So I'm kind of glad we didn't talk about it. We forgot about it, but we did have some this week. So he threw up. So let's see, driver of the week after the race, a split tie between yourself and Judd, which I think is a perfect tie, in my opinion,
Yeah,
for as it should be, because you guys made the right strategy call. You did a good job of keeping yourselves up front there, and just a good bounce back race for Judd there, and a good win for yourself. So definitely well earned there
yeah,
with that
great
one.
race for
Jack and
Judd.
Dylan,
Second straight top
yeah,
five for
Jack and
him.
Dylan, the only other guys who got votes. They each got one each. So and Dylan voted for himself. So
Yeah.
take with that what you will. Our idiot of the week was 100% to Mr. Roten. Unfortunately, Zach, I think a lot of that probably stemmed from we had just a slight little arc of braking when Jared and I got turned around. We came to a complete stop on the track, and um, looking at the replay, Roten tried to slow it down, but just didn't get there in time or get out of the lane where Jared was sitting, and just kind of smoked him, and I think finished Jared's race off as well as his own. So I assume that is exactly where all 8 of those votes came from. I think that could be the first sweep, um, at least of idiot of the week that we've seen so far. We'll have to
um,
get with
the All Star
the
race had Judd 100%, but I
oh,
don't know
okay,
if we count that.
okay,
Um,
well, you know.
just scrolling through here, that is Roten's third idiot of the week of the season. So,
Wow.
um,
I know that the people over at Combs Incorporated are keeping track of everything this season.
yes,
Um, so it'll be interesting to
chip bangers.
see. Yeah, there it is. Thanks. How it'd be interesting to see how that all plays out at the end of the season, and we'll have some final stuff to report back. Last but not least, our tough luck, I think, very appropriately goes to Jared,
Yeah.
who had some tough luck prior to the wreck, then got spun by Cody. I know that he was, I don't know if he was just saving his stuff or just kind of off a little bit, but like he was behind me a bit on the first run there, and I was kind of just waiting for the moment that he was gonna just turn it on and come fly by me, and it didn't really happen. So um, then to the time where he really gets to pit, look at your tires, reset, and go give it another shot is when that incident happens, like 2 laps into
Yeah.
the restart, and then he gets drilled. So definitely an appropriate tough luck there. Um, BC and Jack scored some other votes. I'm guessing the Jack vote probably came from just the fact of playing the different strategy and it not working out. And then BC, I think, just had a couple spins and incidents there that wound up in some tough luck as well. And last but not least, actually a shocker here. We got 5 votes of no, it was not a good race versus 3. So people didn't like this. Apparently, it's interesting.
Yeah, I voted no on this, and for me, like I used with this vote, I used the same kind of thought process that I do in the real like the Jeff Gluck polls. Is I think it's a good race if like the guy behind who's faster can pass on equal tires, and I felt like generally that was not taking place. And it's not because of the car. I don't think it was the car. I think they've ruined this racetrack, like with that the little grip strip on the bottom.
Or
Um,
whatever. Yeah.
I that my vote was mainly because of the track because at Old Iowa you had like 5 different lanes you can run in each corner, and that was pretty much completely gone. Um, so yeah, my vote was more based on the racetrack and um, just how narrow the line was. Like you had in 3 and 4, you had maybe like 1.5 lanes you could realistically run, maybe two. And in 1 and 2, from my side at least, there was one line that I could run and make speed, and that was it. So um, I didn't love that, even though I benefited from it. I just didn't really love the way that went. But from the strategy element of it, that was really good. But unfortunately for me, like great strategy doesn't really make it a great race unless there's like passing and different options and stuff like that. So,
Yeah.
um,
But yeah, no, I think, all in all, a decent little week here. And
it was
we can dive
compelling
into
for
some
sure.
standings, and then some Chicagoland, and kind of see where things are, how we're feeling about everything. I think we've
Yeah,
kind of turned the second half of the season. We're making our way into it, so
yeah,
I think this will be the last race really before for that quote unquote first half of the season. So
pretty
yeah, we're
much.
sitting. We're sitting. We got a good little points battle here. You jumped Dylan there. Looks like you're now only 4 points
Yep.
behind Jack in your drop week standings. So that's huge. We got a great race up front there. Dylan's only 7 points behind you, only 11 points behind Jack. That's tight up front there, and even Owen and Combs are sneaking in at only 15 and 16 points back. So um, definitely nothing set in stone yet. Nothing is official there. I think we have a lot of racing left and a lot of stuff to kind of unfold there.
Yeah. I have caught up to Jack, which is exciting for me. But he seems to have so much pace in this car. Like I'm gonna need a lot of these types of races where I just get on different strategies from him and get ahead of him at the finish. But it's not all about raw pace. That's why you run the races. That's why you
Hmm.
see it through because the fastest guy doesn't always win. That's one of the great things about racing. So yeah, and then looking down a little bit further, Jared with a rough night at Iowa, kind of uh, at least for the time being, temporarily moves him out of the top conversation. But I think he will have some good results here for the rest of the season and probably get up there with Combs and Owen. And I mean, you never know. He could always go on a heater, especially the more he runs these oval races. I know it's been probably a minute for him, but he came out of the gates swinging with like three top fives in a row. So
Yeah,
he definitely hasn't lost anything as far
and
as
a good little
speed
run at
goes.
Darlington too. So yeah,
Yeah,
unfortunately, because he missed the first 3 races of the season, he has to take this 2 point race. But
yeah,
if you look at the numbers leading up to it, it's definitely not the norm, and I expect him, like you said, to bounce back as well. And I think that top five uh, points I think that's going to be definitely something to keep an eye on throughout the rest of the season, because I think it's going to be all over the place. I think guys are going to jump on another just about every other race or so. Depending on who finishes where, what counts, what doesn't. What gets dropped, what doesn't. The second one of these guys puts a new drop week in, that could drastically change the points right away, right? So, I'm interested to see this top five unfold and everything. I'm not too far back from
yeah,
those guys, but I got a little work to do to put myself in that conversation. But it's definitely not out of the realm of possibility. Um, I've had a rough little stretch here that I got to bounce back from, and if there's anywhere I feel like I can do it, it's at a mile and a half that you got to save tires on. So. I know that I think there was a little error with Donnelly's score, so I think we
I
take
just sent
10
you
points
the
away from
the
him.
updated
Oh,
one in the DMs actually.
beautiful,
Yeah,
beautiful. Let me take a look here. So yeah, so I'm sitting. Was that 14 points behind Jared,
yeah,
and a couple more of that behind Combs, but I think I can try to get some good finishes and get up in that position. I got a decent little gap to Donnelly behind me, but like I think we said last week, man, you get it like this. Judd and Christian are going to start scoring points, and they're going
definitely.
to start trying to move up, and Donnelly and I are going to do everything we can to try and hold those guys off. We didn't have the best finishes last night, but I think Chicagoland's a great place where Dolly and I can get right back to it. We'll probably be side by side the entire race, and try to score some good points and get ourselves ahead of those guys. But I think you know, like I think I did last week, you take this point standings, you can kind of break it into chunks, right? And
Hmm.
take those top six guys. They're all going to be kind of competing for that top five, and then you can take that middle four there of myself, Donnelly, Judd, and Christian, and now that's kind of our second battle that's going to be going on there in our second little portion of the standing. So
I think you
two,
four could honestly like. I think for now at least you're still in the conversation for like fifth.
yeah,
Um,
that's my goal. That's
yeah,
what I see and what I feel like I can. I feel like that's my peak, what I can get to. Like I said, Brandon's got a good little cushion there, but you know he I can hopefully get him on some of these mile and a halves. I feel like I'm definitely quick enough to get up there and try to challenge him. Like I said, I'll be racing around Donnelly the entire time, and Judd and Christian, it's a coin toss of whether I'm going to be racing those guys or they're going to get me on some strategy or you know higher conservation. So yeah, it's going to be a good little grouping there to see how everybody starts to kind of unfold. Judd and Christian have the downside of some pretty low drop weeks, so they're going to be scoring pretty
yeah,
much most of their races from here on out, unless they have a really bad race. Dolly and I still have that kind of cushion of not having, super crazy low drops as our highest drops. So yeah, I look forward to it. I look forward to the battle and also not only trying to hold those guys off and race against those guys, but trying to kind of go above and beyond where I am and battle with Jared and Cones, which is definitely gonna be a challenge. So, um, yeah, it's awesome. I think everything looks good in this top 10 of points right now.
yeah. The thing I noticed for you at least is these last two races have both been drops. Um, so I would
I
expect
haven't
you to.
scored a point in a while.
Yeah, I would expect you to bounce back. Just looking at the rest of the schedule, we do have some pretty wild card races. Like I would say Indy's kind of a wild card with how the track position and stuff there, and how the strategy can go with that race. Watkins
I
Glen,
know I'm gonna miss
obviously.
Dover, but I'll be at every other race. So I know that I have
Okay.
1-0 in the remainder of the races that will go on the board just because I'm not going to be in the country for Dover.
Mhm.
But which is unfortunate because there's no track I feel better about my abilities at. But
Yeah.
that's okay because there's at Chicagoland, Charlotte, Texas, Atlanta, Homestead. I like all of those. I don't hate my chances at Nashville, even though it's a tough track. Watkins Glen, I could just try to go out and do my best, and then Talladega. I definitely feel like I'm a good plate racer, so I like the chances there of going out and being really aggressive like I was at Daytona and trying to get a good finish.
Yeah. It looks like you were second at Daytona. Obviously, that one was maybe a little bit controversial at the end, but still, I mean, you put
Yeah.
yourself in that position, and you can get a
Yeah,
good
I led a bunch
finish.
of laps. I just had that mentality of like I'm just gonna get up front and go lead this thing. So yeah, we'll see what happens, man. I look forward to that. I also like to look down now at we talked about the top 10. I like to look down at so if we looked, Bender hasn't been around the last two races, but when he comes back, he's not utilized all of his three drops. So
Yep.
the battle of Travis, Brandon Bender, Cody, Devin, BC, all those guys kind of have their own little thing going on there. Even I'm
Roten as
sorry, even
well.
Roten. I
Yeah.
just noticed that Roten and BC are tied. So that little group, those guys are also going to have quite the little battle, I think. So I think we got the three little segments that are going to be kind of moving around where they're separated by a chunk between each one. Definitely not out of the possibility that guys can move from one to the other, but just kind of watching the movement within these little areas of the schedule, or I'm sorry, of the standings is going to be awesome to see how this all unfolds.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, there's some of these tracks coming up are pretty much wild cards. Um, I did look back though. The Talladega race over the last two seasons has been won by the second place driver in the overall points at the end,
Oh wow.
which is
Hmm.
interesting. So, for whatever reason, Talladega has not really been as much of a wild card, but um, we'll see. Maybe this season breaks the mold. I would like to see like a yourself or a Cody or BC's pretty good on those plate tracks as well. So um, that's a few weeks away, but just looking forward to kind of the second half of the season. We've got some really good tracks here. Um, so good little stretch here from Chicagoland to Watkins Glen, and then after that we got Texas, Nashville, Dega, Dover, and Atlanta and Homestead. So those are would just I mean, there's like zero skips for the rest of the season, which is
Yeah,
exciting.
it's fantastic from here on out. I look forward to it.
Um,
Um,
just looking into Chicagoland a little bit, we've had 5 different winners over 7 races. An average of 5 cautions per race. That's pretty good. In season
right.
11 and season 12 were outliers in that. So before that, the average was probably like 2 or 3, to be completely honest.
Owen holds 3 of those wins. Donnelly has one. Daniel has one. Jack has one, which I believe was last season, and
Yep,
then Brian Lorenzo, who was a temp with us, he ran a
a
couple
temp.
races with us. He managed to get a win there as well. So um, definitely not your typical other than Owen. The other four winners are not guys who do outside of Jack who do like a ton of winning over the season. So that kind of lends the I don't mean that negatively. I mean that in the sense of it kind of lends to the fact that this race is not necessarily always just whoever has the most raw speed, right? It
Yeah,
seems like we've had some things happen where some people wind up getting themselves into victory lane based on maybe some late restarts or something along those lines. So that's going to be really, I think, something that could come into play here. Um, Definitely, I think tire strategy, just as it was this week, is going to be huge. But yeah, we've had some good races there in the past. We have had an average of 5 cautions per race, and one of them in season 11, season 12, 22 of our 37 cautions happened. So
yeah,
prior to the last 2 seasons, um, we have had some pretty good clean races there. So who knows what we're going to get? We could see some exciting stuff. Not only did those races have the most cautions the last 2 seasons, but that's also where we saw some of our most lead changes. So
yeah.
um, that's something to keep in mind. That's season 11 is what trucks, and then season 12 was the Xfinity car. So
Season 12, we had
um,
the race control cautions as well, so I think that drove the number up.
very true,
I don't know what
very
happened
true.
in season 11. I guess because we were just all on top of each other in the trucks. Um,
Yeah, and just the trucks were just they were intense.
yeah, definitely, especially those tracks. Not a lot of off throttle time. So, um,
Yeah, I think
but
we're gonna have some of that. It's gonna be kind of cool ripping 180, 190 down the backstretch at
yeah,
Chicagoland.
yeah,
Um,
it's a great track. A lot of options. I'm sure we'll see guys running the fence. Probably myself
I'll
running the
be up there
bottom.
with you. I'm excited to see how the tire runs at this because it's an older surface. It's a bumpy surface. We would assume sitting here right now that the tires are going to wear and become a factor, but I would say we kind of thought the same thing going into Iowa, right?
Yeah,
And didn't see a whole lot of that. So, Darlington, we had some good tire wear for sure. And that's an older, bumpy surface. So I assume Chicagoland, we're going to have some tire wear. I'd really hope so. Um, but again, that's where that strategy stuff's going to come into play. If we have caution early on or a mid race caution, who's going to opt to try to save another set? Who's going to opt to just take a set and go? Maybe in light of recent races, some people are going to say, you know what, I'm just going to take the tires and try to pull off that strategy and get a win like you just did. So
yeah,
I know personally that that's something that I'd keep in mind, especially as someone who doesn't normally have a lot of the speed to be up front there. That yeah, you know what, I am gonna take this set and I'm gonna bank on hoping there's no more cautions and try to go win the race on strategy. So
yeah.
I
I
think that
think
could play
that
huge this week.
I think now that we don't have the admin cautions, like you can kind of go back to that style of strategy because that's really how it used to be, right? Um, in this league, we wouldn't get a whole lot of cautions, and like when the caution comes out, it's like, yeah, come down pit road and take tires. And I know, like, I think Jack was more in that mindset of like last season where there's always a caution at the end because we had somebody watching for anybody to spin, but iRacing doesn't always throw the caution, so um, it's a different mindset for sure. And just looking back at some of these races in Chicagoland, like 4 cautions, 1 caution, 1 caution, 5 cautions, 4 cautions. Um, I
It's
think
crazy that
that's
we ran 200. We ran 2 races, season 5, season 6, 264 laps. We ran with only 2 cautions.
yeah, that's awesome.
That's pretty wild. And yeah, so this is what this is. I'm trying to think how many laps we're doing here. I forgot. 128. So just under 200 miles. Just about the norm. We usually run our 134, 130 range. We ran 125 in season 10. We ran 129 last year. So it's gonna be the same length as last year's race. Obviously, completely different animal that we're driving now, but
Yeah,
um, those four sets of tires I think are going to come in handy. I think if we do have some cautions or anything like that, I definitely would look for it to happen on a green flag cycle because it's this track is a tough pit entry, and
yeah,
um, also the way that cold tires kind of acted this past week. I felt cold tires more in this car than I have ever
yeah. It
last
was
week.
rough.
So yeah, so I think that's that. If we have a caution situation, we could see something that is even beyond the realm of just like a normal strategy call where people are getting trapped laps down or having to get wave arounds on older tires, which always throws things into the mix there. So that's my prediction that if we do get some cautions or a caution that really mixes things up, I think it happens during a green flag run.
Yeah. Um, I think it's probably going to be a two stop, right? 128 laps. So
I believe
how
so.
do you break that up? Do you pit early? Do you just split it up into thirds? And whenever the cautions come out, obviously are going to play a factor in that. Seems like kind of on these mile and a halfs, we always get a caution around like lap 20 or 30. I don't know if that's just recency bias or what, but we could just see a caution at lap 20 or 30 and then go green to the end. I
That's
mean,
it. Yeah,
that's a very real possibility, but again, that's why you run the races. So, um,
exactly.
yeah, I'm excited for next week.
Me too.
Hopefully I
That's
can get the right paint scheme on my car this time.
Well, let's look.
We'll
We got a
see.
little time left. Let's dive into Bristol. Let's talk about some real NASCAR because I think we had
Yes.
a really exciting weekend in NASCAR that I don't think a lot of people were expecting. Um,
Yeah.
the the truck race, Xfinity race, where I didn't get to see much of the truck race, and I didn't get home. We had a little event we were working this weekend, so I didn't get home Friday night to see. I watched like stage three of the Xfinity race, which was it was a good race. I was really pulling for Sheldon Creed on that tire strategy to go up there and get that win. I really wanted it, but of course he comes home second again.
I personally really
Um,
wanted him to finish second just for the comedy.
yeah, just because.
I mean,
But then
I was sitting at a
and
bar watching the race on my phone, and I was like, dude, there's no way he's about to finish second again.
and so so Friday takes place. We have this practice session for the Cup guys, and we hear all this news coming out that guys are running 78 laps on tires and they're not doing anything. Although people were predicting, same tire, oh, we could have the same thing as spring 24. Oh,
Yeah,
people were all over the place. And then we get all these reports about practice, and immediately everyone is just like shutting down that thought. Like, oh,
yeah,
well, there's no way it's going to happen now. And all of a sudden, the race starts on Friday.
yeah.
And holy cow. Um,
AJ
I
Allmendinger on
listened to
pole, by the way,
yeah,
crazy.
yeah, that was awesome. Good for him. I
Yeah,
listened to stage one on PRN because we were just wrapping up our event as the race started. So I listened to stage one on my drive home, and it was funny to hear without the visual of it. It was really funny to hear the guys on PRN who were almost in like a panic because they were just
yeah,
shocked at what they were witnessing, and just the way they were updating you would just it sounded like absolute chaos. They're like, so and so's on the pits, they've been on the they've been out there for 19 laps, their tires are destroyed, like, this is going on. These people are doing this. Josh Berry's on fire. Like, there was so much that was going on. Like, while I was just driving home, and like normally I'm a big fan of the radio, and they do a really good job of creating the imagery of the races. They're
hmm
really good at describing the races, and you can kind of picture and figure out what's going on. I couldn't figure out anything that was going on, and I could not wait to get home to tune in because I'm getting text messages that this is crazy. I'm hearing what's happening on the radio, and I'm like, dude, get me home to this race as
yeah.
soon as possible. And then I got to watch to the end of it. It was awesome.
Yeah, it was wild. I was sitting at the house watching with Julie, and um, yeah, about like 20, 25 laps in, I'm like, this is great. This is awesome.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
and you're seeing
This
the
is everything we wanted.
literally. Well, she was asking me like, I was like, look at the tire, it's destroyed. Like when they're taking, you know, they're showing you the tires from off the cars once they pit, and she's like, that looks bad. And I'm like, yeah, this is great. This is supposed to look
Yeah.
bad. This is awesome.
I remember. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, that was it.
I remember too that I remembered what the qualifying speed was. The only reason I remember it was because I saw some idiot on social media. Sometimes I can't help myself. Say that it was
Sure.
like a video of of AJ's qualifying lap, and this idiot comments and is like, "That's got to be the slowest lap I've ever seen at Bristol in my life." And I went and did the research and found out that AJ's pole lap was only 2/10 off of the track record. So I had to let that guy know how much of an idiot he was and let him know that. So again, I know this number in my mind that it was 15.1,
That's
and
fast as
they're on
shit.
PRN. Yeah, they're on PRN, and they're like the field is pacing right now. Like they're running 16.8s and like running 17s,
Yeah.
and like I am just like, this is awesome. Like these guys are having to back down almost a second and a half, 2 seconds off of the pace just to save these tires and to make these things manage. Um, it was kind of interesting that I really thought I was full on. My biggest shout out of the week goes to Ty Gibbs. One, he would get my tough luck Combs vote for
Oh
sure.
no, dude. No, not at
Um,
all.
and
What? He didn't have bad
and
luck.
dude, it was a bit of an unfortunate situation that
He
he
he.
that's how his race got ruined. I
I
guess not. I
I
know that
I
he did
wanted him to
that,
win
but
too. I was rooting for him, but that's not bad luck. He overdrove the. He was trying too hard. I think Steve Letarte said, or Jeff Burton. He's like,
the
yeah, just trying too hard. You don't need to try that hard. Like he was. He just needed to get on pit road easily, and he overcooked it. I mean, I don't
the
know.
thing for me where I had to eat a bunch of crow was I just kept saying and thinking the entire race that like him and Hocevar, they've got to be just going up there and destroying their stuff. They're young guys. They
Right,
don't have experience of as much experience as some of the guys like Denny and Brad who have really had to manage tires at Bristol before and race in tough conditions like this.
right.
So I was like, man, like Gibbs is just burnt. He's got to be burning this stuff up, and it turned out to be somewhat true about Hocevar. I think he did kind of kill his stuff a little bit, but Ty Gibbs looked strong, man. Like he was just on it, and it seemed like he did have it kind of figured out. So the rare case where I'm pulling for Ty Gibbs, I guess it was also lesser of
Yeah,
two evils when I'm looking at the top two there, and I'm like Hocevar or Gibbs. Who
right.
do I hate less?
I will
Uh,
say, dude, like late in the race, after they did their last pit stops, I think Hocevar pitted with about 30 to go or something, and Brad was leading, and he was about 10 seconds back from Brad, and Jeff Burton is like freaking out on the broadcast. He's like, Hocevar's literally running a second a lap faster than Brad. So he's like 15 seconds back, or no, he's 10 seconds back with like 15 to go. And I so badly wanted that to go green, like to see how that played out,
yeah, me too.
Because the math says he's gonna get there, but how much is he working his tires? Is like I was thinking like, oh, 5 laps to go, he's gonna pass him, and then his tires are gonna fall off a cliff, and then Brad's gonna come back and clean him out. Like I was playing this all through in my head, and then the
Well, and also
the
like
caution
anything
comes
could
out. I was
happen. Like
so mad about that caution.
I was really enjoying the fact that like the leaders would get to a gaggle of lapped cars who all those guys are either they've killed their stuff or they're still trying to manage
Yeah,
and they're in the back trying not to race each other too hard. The leaders can't just go cut through these guys because they need to manage their stuff
right.
and they need to save their stuff. Like I was just thoroughly enjoying that, and there was a point where we're on board with Ty Gibbs, as far as like right behind him, and there's nowhere for him to go. And his crew, I believe his crew chief or spotter, someone comes on the radio and is like, "Hey, just manage. Don't go too hard. Don't do anything crazy to try and get
Right.
by these guys." Like I just think all the aspects of that were pretty cool. I had a moment of panic when I'm at the point where I'm watching Austin Cindric like 30 something
Yeah.
points clear, and he's like in the top 10, and he was running a really good race
Hmm.
too, and then has the fire issue and the fact that like he came down the pits. I think it stayed green the entire time. They got the fire put out, and then while that's happening, the broadcast is losing their minds because now Bowman all of a sudden is just ticking away points at Austin Cindric, who was he was well secure in this thing, is now possibly about to get booted. And then also like Bowman winning the race, like it could have either taken Elliott or Cindric out of it, which was crazy if Bowman had gotten to the front there and he was pushing like crazy at the end of the race. He wound up running through his stuff pretty fast. But like
Yeah.
then, Cindric gets back out there and manages to just be in a good enough spot where he's not losing points anymore. Um, I think he was like 11 laps behind the next person or something like that. So like he wasn't going to gain anything, but he wasn't going to lose anymore.
Yeah.
And
Bowman pretty much
wound
had to
up
win.
making the cut there. Yeah, exactly. Not making the cut or wound up making the cut there. But like there was just so much interesting stuff from this race. We had the situation where I think the 23 team was like really, really low on tires. Their strategies like left them with only one set left. And Bubba's out there doing everything he can to try and just like stay alive. And gets into that incident that we kind of saw a couple times where someone
Hmm.
on old tires is trying to manage and just on entry just gets up the track a little bit and tags someone. I think Cole Custer had a situation like that happen too, where he was just trying
That
to
was the
manage
caution
and
that
yeah,
ruined that finish because he
and
come out the pits and just kind of slotted in front of Brad, which I didn't understand because you're on new tires anyway. You're going to go in front of him anyway. Like why
yeah.
is that so important? You come out in front of Brad and Brad has nowhere to go pretty much and just runs him over. And that
So
ended
yeah,
up
that was
ruining Brad's race as well because I think he probably would have won that race even though Hocevar was catching him at a high rate of speed.
yeah. Which in that case, I wanted the crafty veteran who knows how to save tires
Yes.
to win in the same way that Hamlin did in the spring of last year when we had this. I mean, if you look at, I think like the top five from last year when this happened, it was all veterans and like Josh Berry, who's
Yeah.
also probably the best as far as like late model racing and tires. I was bummed for Josh Berry because I thought
Yeah.
this is a race that
I
plays
mean,
right into his
what a
hands. Like that
disaster.
was was the perfect race for him.
Yeah.
Winds up being the worst um, first round performance ever.
Last
Like
place three
SVG
races
got
in a row.
eliminated. I couldn't imagine being SVG where you're not only are you having to, this is what his second time seeing Bristol in a cup car. So he's still getting used to
Yeah.
Bristol in general. And now this this absolute tire saving madness is going on.
Yeah.
And then, we had the 10 car out there trying to, dude, I laughed
He
out
had a
loud
bunch of
so hard.
incidents. Him and Cole Custer
Yeah,
had like 3 or 4 incidents each.
there were two wrecks that were like back to back that was Ty Dillon's fault
Yeah.
and like where he took someone out. And then there was another caution and someone spun. And it's like I was like waiting for that replay and the second that they put that replay up and I saw the 10 car in frame, I lost it. I started laughing so hard out loud because I was like, dude, it's fucking Ty Dillon again. And I think it was the
Yeah.
one with like Stenhouse or something like that. And like it was just, oh my God, it was hilarious just to see the second that 10 car appeared again. I was just like, dude, Ty Dillon is a man on a mission in this race to just ruin
Terrorism.
everyone's night.
Yeah. This is one of those races because there's a lot of like discourse online about it. Um, I genuinely don't understand why anybody would not like this race as a fan.
Dude, I saw it like right away. Like I saw it almost like I saw people. Oh, this is an embarrassment of a race. Like blah blah. And I'm like, dude, I
Shut
just
up. Just
NASCAR fans.
enjoy it.
They'll never fucking be happy. Like like I think this might have been a Bianchi or a Gluck thing that said, but like it's such a good point that like they 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 don't really know what they want. Like if you ask them, what do you want? And then, high, horsepower, tire wear, blah, 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 blah. And then if they got it, they'd bitch about it. They want soft tires and tire wear. Okay, you got it. Here's Bristol. Here's this race. And they're like, nah,
Yeah.
it sucks. That's an embarrassment to the sport. Like, dude, like, all right, like I got nothing at this point anymore for those
Sometimes,
people. Like,
there's races and I really like it, and people are like, oh, that was dumb. And I can understand where they're coming from. I do not understand where you're coming from on this if you didn't like that. Like,
yeah, like if you and I are talking Indy, and I think I defended Indy this year of being like, look, this I think that the whole race was on the crew chiefs, and I thought that was really cool.
yeah, that's
That
what
it was
Indy
all
is,
about
right?
strategy and making the right calls, and that's what Indy is. And I get how some people can be like, I don't really like that. Like, look, I get you're right, I get it. Like, I like to nerd
Sure.
out on shit like that. But if you're just here to see some racing and you get that and you don't really kind of fully know in depth of everything that's going on, I get how people don't like it. I
You
get
can
that one.
understand
But
that.
this, like, I mean, this is everything that everyone wants. People complain they want old Bristol back. Here it is, single lane around the bottom.
Yeah,
Can't really go on the high side because you're going to kill your tires. Tire wear, soft tire wear. Okay, there you go. Here it is. Um, I saw people bitching about the fact that, I mean, that Brad hit Christopher Bell completely square and that Bell backed up the corner to intentionally take the hit early and have a chance of saving it.
yeah.
And people are complaining about the car when it comes to that, and I'm like I get that's like
That's
your
any
go-to
car.
right away, but look at the situation. I think Bell did a great job. Once I found out
He
that
knew it
Bell
was coming.
did that intentionally, that's awesome. And yeah, Brad hit him as square as can be. Like I just
Dude,
and
when Brad dove it down in there, I was like, "Oh, Christopher Bell is
I
going
thought
into the
I thought
grandstands." Like,
whoever yeah, I thought whoever was in third was going to win the race. I don't know who was in third
yeah,
at that point, but they were going to win in my eyes. The second that I saw Brad sail it off into the corner, I was like, well, whoever's Corey Heim's going to win or whoever was
yeah,
up there.
yeah. That was like on that restart. I kept seeing Bell miss the bottom. I'm like, dude, Brad might have one shot at this, and I mean, he
Right? And
took
he
it, but
did because it
he
was
took
like the
it.
corner coming in 3 and 4 coming to the white. Like Bell made a pretty sizable mistake on an entry if
Yeah,
you watch from Brad's on board, and then he does the same thing
same thing
in
on
one
the
and
final
two, and
lap.
Brad closed that gap up quick, man. Like it was pretty exciting. So yeah, I don't know what people want anymore. We get our round of 12 set. What was it? Dylan, Van Gisbergen, Bowman, and
Josh
Barry
Berry.
were
Yeah,
eliminated. So right now, the four guys, as we start the playoffs, the four guys who are below the elimination line: Cindric, Logano, Chastain, and Reddick. And interesting about that is it goes -1, -2, -2, -3. So a very tight race uh, for at the cutoff line already.
yeah.
And then right above it, you have Bubba at +1, Chase Elliott at +5, Chase Briscoe +10. I'd say Chase Briscoe's fairly safe there at 10 for now, but Elliott and Bubba have some work to do. I mean, I think Bubba's had like one of the best. He had one of the best round ones out of anybody outside
He's
of the
had the
guys who
best
won.
like last 10 weeks out of anybody. I feel like.
Dude, that Indy win just sparked a fire
Yeah,
in that team, man, and
agreed.
they've been awesome. So you
I feel
love
like they've
seeing
been
that. The
better
guy
than
goes,
Reddick.
yeah, and it's cool to see too because Bubba goes from being a guy who's usually walking the line in 16th. He wins, he gets in. Not only does he win and get in, but he's the first driver to advance,
Yeah,
not
in
off a
points.
win into the round of 8. So like that's awesome. Very cool to see there. I think in my opinion the right four guys are out and the right 12 guys are still in. And if you asked me right now to tell you what my 8 and my 4 who eliminated are, like the 4 who are currently out are the guys that I would probably pick to not advance. So, maybe you could swap in a Logano for like Bubba or something like that. But, right now, the way it sits with Cindric, Logano, Chastain, and Reddick out, that's probably where I would look with the way the playoffs have gone so far and how things currently sit.
Yeah, I think these next two races, New Hampshire and Kansas, are the most important races of the season, so far at least for those guys. Like this almost feels like how the round of 8 usually feels. Like you have to win. There's no guarantee
Absolutely.
at all that you're going to get it on points just because of how close everything is. Like there's really, I mean, maybe you look at like the top 3 or 4 and they have a solid cushion, but other than that, like there's hardly any separation with the playoff points, and I don't really know why that is. Like we've had seasons with more winners than we have this season, but yeah, I don't know. The playoff points are just so spread out, and yeah, I don't even know how you can handicap it
It
for
is
who gets
wild to
through.
see that the playoffs right now, currently, the 12 drivers, it is literally like most of the Toyotas that are in the field, Hendrick Motorsports and Penske, and that's it. And then Ross Chastain, one one singular Trackhouse car,
Right.
and other than that, it's 2311 and Gibbs, and then all of Penske, and 3/4 of Hendrick. So like that's wild.
Yeah.
That's what it comes down to. Cream always rises, though,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, the Toyota domination at the beginning of this has been crazy. They got 4 guys in the top 8 right now. 4 of their 5 cars that are in the playoffs are in the top 8 currently, and Reddick's only 3 points out. So,
That's crazy. He's last
or
place, 3 points out.
I guess he's 3 behind the person in 11th. So technically he'd be 8 points out, but still, he's 8 points away from the cut line right now. So I think a
I
lot's
have
going
him
to
three
unfold.
points, 3 points away from the cut line.
Is he okay? I wasn't sure
Yeah,
if I'm not sure if this -3 is to the cut
I think
line. It
that's to
just
the
says
cut
plus
line.
minus, so I don't know if it's to the cut line or to the driver ahead. But if it's to the cut line, then yeah, that makes sense. So,
He's
um,
3 points behind Bubba. Who are your 4 that you have out? Official prediction.
I think it's the 4 as they sit right now: Cindric,
Really?
Logano, Chastain, and Reddick. I just think that I know that the Penske's are pretty good at New Hampshire, but I just don't think they're good enough to because of how good Toyota is at New Hampshire. The 45 team just really has just seemed kind of off all year. I think Bubba's definitely been the better team at 2311, especially over the last couple weeks. So I think Bubba manages to get in. I think he's good at New Hampshire and Kansas, obviously. And like the Roval's in here somewhere too, right?
Yeah, that's his
He's
best
like
road
out of
course.
nowhere become pretty damn good at road course racing, and the Roval is his best one. So,
Yeah.
um, so I think he can put himself in a good spot in the first 2 races that the Roval he can just go do what he needs to do and just like get a top 10 or whatever he does, and manage that. And then, um, I don't really see a world where Chase Elliott falls out. It's just hard for me to believe that he would come in and do that. I think he's going to have a good bounce back at New Hampshire. Um,
Yeah,
and
so on that topic, I'm actually saying Chase is not going to make it. Cuz
okay,
they for over the past like few weeks, I mean, they started the season with like the first 20 races or something. They had every race was a top 20 finish, no DNFs, and um, obviously they win Atlanta, but I don't know. I think recently they've just not been very good.
they
I know
haven't.
they
You're
had
right.
speed at
You're spot
Gateway,
on.
but um, looking at the list, I think unfortunately, I think everybody. I think I'm switching Elliott and Logano as much as I don't want that to happen. Um, I'm not the
Why I
biggest
would
Joey
think that.
Logano fan, but I
Do you
just think he
think
finds a way.
looking Do you think looking at these 12, do you think our New Hampshire winner comes out of this group of 12 guys?
Yeah, like 90% sure. Yeah,
Yeah, part of me thinks that Bell's about to go back to back if I had to make a pick. But I
yeah.
mean, dude, the way that 19's been running lately, I don't know, man. It's
I
hard for
mean,
me to say that.
Bell is
Like,
great at New Hampshire. He's great lately. The 19 is
yeah,
on a heater. Blaney's really
Mm,
good, right? And this is their
I think
kind of track.
my picks for this week would be either the 20 or the 12. If I had to pick a winner this week,
Yeah,
it would be one of those 2 guys, in my opinion.
I agree. Or as well, the 19, like they were always good at this track with Truex as well. So, um,
Yeah, and like we were talking about with Bubba when it comes to like recency bias, just the heater that the 19 has been on to start these playoffs, and just as of like the whole second half of the season, um, it's just hard for me to say that they're gonna find their way out. I think if anything happens, it'd be something random like Joey wins this race or wins Kansas and gets his way back up in there, because that's just what he
I could
does.
totally see that. Yeah.
Um, yeah, he'll probably win another title this year,
I
but
mean, New Hampshire, like, can't you see it going like Iowa? They get themselves out front, they save fuel, and I mean,
yeah, or
they
even
just end
like
up winning.
they're good at the flat track. I mean,
They
they're
did
good
the
at
tire
Gateway.
test here as
They're
well.
good at Phoenix. So they're good at flat tracks. So I definitely think that the Penske Fords will kind of have a bounce back here. But I think out of all 3 of them, I like Blaney's chances the best, just because that team's just been phenomenal all year. In my opinion, they've been one of the best teams all year. So I like Blaney to definitely advance and possibly win this weekend.
Um, how poetic would it be as well if Joey Logano wins the last version of this playoff format?
Perfect.
There's a lot of
That'd be
buzz going around that we could see like a 3-3-4 playoff thing, and I know we talked about it last week, but it looks like my prediction is spot on with how they're going to do this. They eliminate 5 in each of the first 2 rounds, and then we have 6 going for the last 4 races. which like seems
I love
very
that.
legit. Like if you get in the top 6 and you have a great last 4 races, that seems awesome. Like I kind of equated it to like the MLB or NBA. Sometimes you get a quote unquote undeserving team in the finals, but
Mm.
if they go on a heater and they win 4 out of those 7 games, like it's a 7-game series, you're not going to fake your way through that. So, and it always seems very deserving. So, I think that will kind of I think that's like the perfect mix of these two formats.
I agree.
If we
Earning
can't
earning
get
your
the
spot as the earning your spot as the sixth and then proving it over the course of 4 races, I think is much more.
much more legit.
I don't like this. I don't like to say that anyone is undeserving of a championship, but I will say that I think the one race format really just comes down to where that race is, and I think that plays too much into it. So I like the idea of multiple
Yeah,
tracks, multiple different styles of tracks. Um, get a damn road course out of the final four. I don't want to see it.
yeah, I'm kind of with you
It's
on that.
great to have one in the playoffs. Sure, go for it. But I really wish you would turn that roval race into an oval race. Um, but yeah, so did you hear? I think Gluck and Bianchi were stealing our ideas. They were talking about a race at Charlotte to start off the final
Oh,
thing, and I'm pretty sure we had that last week already.
yeah,
We were discussing that. So
I,
appreciate you
I'm
being a
sure.
fan, Jeff. I hope you're listening
I'm
right now.
sure they listen to this show to get ideas for their
Yeah,
stories.
not Jordan though. Jordan, you
On
suck. I hate you.
yeah, on the topic of that podcast, I need to let my thoughts be known about this because when they were talking about points formats and everything, Jordan was saying like he was basically saying like there's no guarantee that you'll get a compelling championship battle in a full 36 race format. And I'm sitting there listening to it like, yeah, duh. That's the point. You don't
Yeah,
need one every single season. Sometimes
you just
the
need the
team that
best
wins
to
the
be the
World
best, right?
Series, yeah, sometimes the team that wins the World Series sweeps the other team. And that's not super compelling. Or they win 4-1. That's not super compelling, but that makes those series that go to game 7 incredible, and it makes them special because it doesn't happen all the time. And like when they're talking about this 4 race format, you could have somebody wrap up the championship by the end of before the last race. That's fine. That's good.
Yeah,
They earned it. But then you will have some years where all 6 of them have a chance, and that'll be insanely special. I mean, can you imagine that? Homestead, 6 guys, they all have a shot. Um, that's incredible. But if you have it every
it'd be
year, it's
electric.
it's just it's watered down. That's what we have now. It's watered down, and I mean, it's compelling because you have to pay attention every week. But I don't know. I always think back to the 2019 championship when Kyle Busch won, and he's just kind of like, "Yeah, we won. Feels great." He wasn't super excited, and it's because it's just like, yeah, we won the race today, but we might not have, and we played the right strategy, and it worked out. But that
Yeah,
I mean, it's just one race, so slight little rant there, but that was really
it's
pissing
all
me
right. I
off.
like it.
That was really pissing me off because like you don't need a compelling championship every single season. That's what makes the compelling championships more exciting because they're special. That's what makes Game 7 special. So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, Formula One like has one compelling championship every like 30 years, so
Yeah,
they can, and they haven't changed anything. Um, so yeah,
another
like in the
thing,
end,
like people people were talking about like um with the full season format. I feel like people never complained about the format when it was a full season format. Like people complain
yeah.
about a playoff format now, but if you have a full season format, nobody's complaining about it. Like nobody's going to say like, "Oh yeah, he ran away with it." Oh yeah, this dumb format. He won the championship with 2 races ago. This format sucks. No, they're not. They're not going to bitch about the format. They're just going to say, "Yeah, he kicked everybody's ass."
Also, I don't want to hear it from those people because if you take any of those people and put them in one of those 5 seasons in a row that Jimmy won a championship and put them right in the middle, surrounded by two on either side, they're gonna say it's boring. People just we covered it earlier.
Yeah,
People are just never
yeah,
happy. that's just the frustrating thing. Yeah, stick those people in a Jimmy Johnson dominant season where he's winning everything and has the thing locked up nice and early. Like and people are going to complain about it. So like people just complain to complain and whatever. I like that at least NASCAR's doing something. I like that there's rumors and talk of this kind of stuff. Usually, as much as I can't stand him, when Jordan Bianchi says something, it kind of comes to fruition. He usually doesn't have
Yeah,
bad intel when it comes to
yeah.
that. So we're gonna hope for the best when it comes to that. But yeah, I look forward to at least this year and the rest of the playoffs we got here. Looking forward to some good couple races.
That's the thing about like NASCAR fans is I wonder if it's the fans or if it's because of the format that we're always bitching about the format because in
It's the
F1
fans.
in F1 and IndyCar, nobody complains about the format.
It's
There's no
because they don't have anything different. Like if
exactly,
they
right?
had something different, they would be like, "Well, we used to have this," and just live in the past
Yeah.
about it. Like NASCAR fans. Also, like no one in sports lives in the past more than NASCAR fans.
Yeah. I mean, it's just like
Um,
I think with a full season points format, there's no room or like time to bitch about the format because there's just nothing to bitch about. It's just it is what it is. Like
yeah,
these last few years where Max Verstappen has dominated the drivers championship, not once has anybody been like, "Yeah, they need to change the format." There's been no talk about that
yeah. What I
at
do is
all.
usually I just stop watching. So I think that's the only fear they have is the
Yeah.
people like me who are just gonna be like, well, I don't really care anymore.
Yeah.
There's but then again, there's twice the cars in NASCAR, so the midfield stuff is a lot more compelling
Yeah.
than seeing uh, two guys pillow fight over 1 point in a
But like on,
championship
on
to
like
finish sixth.
the 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 other side of that argument though is like the IndyCar championship was locked up with 3 races to go, but they had like one of their best races at the finale,
Yeah, that's the
views
thing. I
wise.
think
So do you
I
just
don't think
watch
I
the
could ever see
races
myself
or
turning off. I don't think I could ever see myself turning off the NASCAR races if the season's wrapped up early, just because
yeah,
of the entertainment factor of every race in comparison to like what I just said with F1, where
yeah.
they don't always have the most exciting stuff
F1
going on there.
has their own
So
problems.
so
Um,
so yeah, I think I think I will stay tuned in regardless. Yeah.
yeah, because you
So
want to see who wins and
yeah, and
who runs well.
I like car go fast. Me like.
Yeah, exactly.
So all right, you got
Um,
anything else? I gotta get back to work.
no, I don't think so. I think we've covered pretty much everything.
Yeah.
Chicagoland next week, New Hampshire. We'll be back right here to talk about it all.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you guys for watching. Leave a like. I'll try to get the podcast up on Spotify hopefully this week. I forgot to do it last week, so but we had it on YouTube. I think a lot of people watch it on YouTube anyway. So,
Yeah, I'm one
um,
of the loyal Spotify listeners.
oh, okay. Well, we'll get it
I
up
don't have
here.
YouTube. I don't have YouTube Premium, so like if I try to watch it,
Um,
if I try to listen to it in my car, I can't lock my phone or else it just turns the sound off, which is don't get me started on how annoying that is. Also, I mean, I have YouTube TV. You can't just give me YouTube Premium as well. I mean, you
yeah,
can't just toss that in there. That's got to be another whole anyway. Um,
yeah,
but but yeah, so I'll be on the lookout for that. But yeah, another quality episode. I think. I look forward to
absolutely,
what we got going forward in CRS and in the real world of racing. And always a good chat with you here.
absolutely. We will catch you guys on the next one. Thanks for listening. See ya.